In this video, we'll be hunting 2 boxes of pennies. We'll be looking for any wheat cents from 1958 or earlier. We'll also be looking for any foreigns, proofs, heirs or varieties, or any other cool things we can find, as well as any copper, and seeing how far we can fill this jar with copper pennies. Also in this video, I'm excited to announce that we'll be starting a penny hunt and fill series with this album right here. It goes all the way from 1909, and then it kind of cuts off because it's an older album from the 80s, it looks like. But we'll probably fill up all these slots, and with the modern memorial pennies, I'll probably just be putting really nice pennies in here. There's no point in putting bad ones because I know I'll upgrade them eventually. Also, there's a very small chance I'll actually end up filling this album with like a 1909 SVDB and other key dates that are pretty much impossible to find. But we'll make as much progress as we can, and I'm thinking it's going to be really fun filling this up while hunting the penny boxes. So, let's start the hunt, and I'll bring you in when we have our first find. Roll number 6, and it's not a find for the album, but we have our first find of the hunt, and it's going to be a Canadian cent. And it is a 1985. Just opened roll 12, and we're finally going to have the first wheat cent of the hunt, and the first wheat cent for the album right here. And it is from the 30s, a 1935 out of Philly. That's a great way to start the album with a pre-40s wheat cent. Roll 13, and we have for number 2 of the hunt. It's another Canadian. This one is pretty corroded, and it is a 1998. Roll 14, and we have the second wheat cent of the box, and it is from the 40s. It is a 1946 from Denver. Roll 17, just open the roll, and I see the edge of the third wheat cent of the hunt right here. And this one is a 1954 Denver. Roll 20, and we have wheat cent number 4 of the hunt, and it's another one from the 40s, and this one is a 1941 from San Francisco. Same roll, another wheat cent from the 40s. This one is a 1944 Philadelphia. Just opened roll 22, and I see the edge of another foreign, and it's going to be another Canadian cent. And this one is a 1945, which means it's a King George VI. Shame we can't use it for the penny album, but still, any King George VI Canadian is a super good find. Roll 26, just opened the roll, and I see the edge of another Canadian cent. This is going to be for number 4 of the hunt, and it is a 1973. Roll 31, and we're going to have another Canadian cent, and it's going to be for number 5 of the hunt, just a few coins in, and it is a 1999. Same roll as that Canadian, about halfway through, just uncovered another wheat cent, and this one is a 1942 out of Philly, wheat cent number 6 of the hunt. Next roll, roll 32, and we're going to have another Canadian cent number 6 of the hunt right here, and it is a 1994, in pretty nice shape, although it's brown. Just opened roll 34, and I see the edge of another wheat cent and another Canadian. Pull out the Canadian first, and that's a pretty nice young head. I don't know if I've ever found a young head in that great a shape. And of course, it's a 1964, most common year. Has a little bit of corrosion on it, but still, that's a great find. Then the wheat cent is right here, and it is a 1946 Denver. Just opened roll 42, and I see the edge of another Canadian, but first, see this really worn edge. I'm just going to pull it out, see what it is. It's a memorial cent. It's super worn. Not sure what's going on with that. Obverse looks normal, 1976, but strangely worn reverse. That's interesting. But here's the Canadian I saw, a few coins after that, and it is a 1974. Roll 47, just opened the roll, and we're going to have another foreign. It's going to be another Canadian cent, and it's right here. This one is a 1993. Last roll of the first box, and I just uncovered the best find of the hunt. This will be great for the album, too. This is a 1919 out of Denver. Mint mark's pretty faint, but definitely has a Denver mint mark. 1919 Denver, that's a super good penny for the album. Let's go, great way to end the box. That was all for box number 1, and to be honest, it wasn't too bad of a box. We ended up with 8 wheat cents, 2 of them being pre-40s, a 1935 and that 1919 Denver we got out of the last roll, which would be great for the album. We also got some 59s estimates, 2009s, the usual. Then 9 Canadians, one being a nice 64 Younghead, and a 1945 King George, awesome finds. Right now, I'm just going to clear out these better looking memorial cents, just throw them in the album, and then we'll move on to box number 2. First roll of the second box, hunting through the roll, just uncovered first wheat cent of box 2, and it is a 1955 Denver. Roll 2 of box 2, and I just uncovered another pre-40s wheat cent, and this one is a 1937 out of San Francisco. It's definitely a good find for the album. It looks like it has some damage on the rims right there and right there, unfortunately, but still, 1937S, that's a great find for the album. Roll 9, just opened the roll, and we're going to have another Canadian cent. It's one away from being an ender in the back of the roll. And it is a 1966. Roll 13, just uncovered another wheat cent. And this one is 1946 out of Philly. Roll 17, just opened the roll, and I see the edge of another wheat cent, and it is right here. And this one is a 1944 Denver. Just opened roll 18, and I see the edges of another foreign and another wheat cent. Foreign is a Canadian right here, and it is a 1982. And the wheat cent is a few coins before it, and it is a 1954 Denver. Next roll, roll 19, just uncovered yet another wheat cent. It was one away from being an ender, and it is a 1945 Denver. Just opened roll 20, and the wheat cent streak is going to continue because I see the reverse of another wheat cent right here. And this time it is a 1953 Denver. Just opened roll 23, and we have another foreign, and it's of course going to be another Canadian cent right here, and it is a 1977. Just opened roll 24, and I see the edge of yet another wheat cent, and this one is right here near the beginning of the roll, and it is another one from the 30s, 1936 out of Philly. Check that for the DDO. It doesn't look like it, but still, another 30s wheat cent for the album. That's awesome. Roll 26. Slid the first coin down of the roll. Second coin, which is in terrible condition, is actually another wheat cent. It's a 1944 out of Denver, and it's definitely super damaged, but thankfully we've already gotten one for the album, so we don't have to struggle to fit this one in. Roll 27, I missed this edge, but we do have another wheat cent. It's a little bit stained on the reverse, and it is a 1953 Philly. Just opened roll 30, and I see the edge of another foreign and another wheat cent. So we'll grab the foreign first, just another Canadian, a 1983. Then the wheat cent is about in the middle of the roll right here, and it's a little damaged, but it is a 1956 Denver. Roll 34, just opened the roll, and I see the edge of another wheat cent around the middle of the roll right here. And this one is a 1956 Denver. Roll 35, and I see the edge of another Canadian cent in the back of the roll right here. And this one is a 1968. Roll 37, and just opened the roll, and we have another wheat cent, and it is right here. And this time it is a 1953 Denver. Just opened row 43, and I see the edge of yet another Canadian cent near the back of the roll. And this one is a 1978. Just opened row 47, and I see the edge of another wheat cent. The second box has definitely been doing better in terms of wheat cents than the first box, and this wheat cent is here. And this one is 1941 with a little bit of damage on the front. Still, wheat cent for the album. Second box has been hunted, so let's go over the finds. We ended up with 11 1959s, 20 estimates, and 32 2009s. Foreigns, we ended up with 15. All were Canadian. Highlights were that 1945 King George and pretty nice 1964 Younghead. And then no other miscellaneous finds. And then wheat cents, we ended up with 22, which is very good for the 2 boxes. And we got 4 pre-40s, 1937S, 1936, 1935, and a 1919 Denver. Now let's add all of these wheat cents as well as these memorial cents to the album and see how it looks. Just filled in the album, and we now have 76 out of the 240 spots filled. I did just put in the reverses of the memorial and wheat cent. I'm counting them as spots, but did pretty well. We got 4 pre-40s, which are definitely going to help for the album. And there are only 2 spots for the 1982s in this album. I'm just not going to worry about the varieties. I'm just going to put an 82P and 82D, not really worry about the variety. And so yeah, and we only got 4 duplicate wheat cents in that hunt, so not too many duplicates, and we filled a lot of spots. So that was a great hunt.